Welcome to Speak Out for Ukraine. On the morning of February 24th, 2022, the Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin ordered his troops to begin a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify the sovereign nation of Ukraine. Over the next 2.5 years, Ukraine has suffered bombings, massacre, and the kidnapping of between 700 and 750,000 of its children. And yet, they have beaten the third most powerful military in the world to a standstill, but not without a cost. Today, we will be listening to the voices of the brave people of Ukraine through 5 of its most articulate poets. Today is dedicated to the eloquence of language, both Ukrainian and English, and to offer our support to our Ukrainian brothers and sisters in poetry. Today, we are here to hear the Ukrainian people speak out, and for the world to listen. I would like to dedicate, since the purpose of Speak Out Ukraine is to share the voices of Ukrainian poets with the rest of the world, I would like to dedicate each of the 2 readings to a different Ukrainian poet who can no longer speak for himself, a poet who chose to give his life up for Ukraine. Tonight's reading is dedicated to Volodymyr Vakulenko. Volodymyr Vakulenko was a poet, translator, and prose writer, an activist who had been wounded during the Revolution of Dignity in 2013 to 2014 and had voluntarily participated in the military campaign against the Russian occupiers who invaded Ukraine's Donbas area in 2014. When his native village, Kapitolinka, was occupied by the invaders after the Russian invasion in 2022, he refused to leave and tried to protect his community as best he could. Because none of his works have been released yet, I found a poem by a Japanese writer that pretty much tells about his final days. The writer's name is Kurama, and the poem is a tribute to Volodymyr. A poet is number 319. A poet was detained and interrogated by orcs, forces in late March, then released. The next day, witnesses saw 2 soldiers leading him again away. They say, he shouted, "Glory to Ukraine." Then he was bundled into a car with a Z on it. When his skeleton was recovered from the pine forest, 2 bullets were found in his grave. In total, 451 bodies were found in Izium, including 7 children, beneath long rows of simple wooden crosses. Buried in a pine forest in haste and under fire, most had no coffin, not even a body bag. Many also had no name. The wooden crosses on their graves were marked only by numbers. But the body that was buried as number 319 has now been identified. DNA test established it as him, a child's writer and a poet. It is extremely dangerous for me to be encircled by the enemy, he wrote. The last entry, scrawled on a checkered notebook, which was later buried under a cherry tree, describes seeing a flock of cranes overhead. He said, "Through their chirps, I seem to hear everything will be Ukraine. I believe in victory." Okay, we're going to start with the first poet. Brian, can we take the picture? Oksana Gadzhiy is a poet and designer. She works as an art director for several Ukraine book publishing houses. She has participated in several cultural festivals in Ukraine and abroad, Pulls, Literatory, Book Forum, Book Arsenal, and others. She has organized literary and musical events at the charity festival Art Therapy in, I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce that, in Ukraine. Oksana is the winner of several literary competitions and awards. Small Us Keep Young, Republic of Poets, and Dictum. Some of her poems have been translated to 8 different languages and published in anthologies and literary journals. During the war, her husband became a military officer, so she raises her child alone. Oksana Gadzhiy.
Hello, everyone. I will read poems both in Ukrainian and then their translations. So the first one. Будинок слова. Ім'я моєї країни взято у чорну рамку, її ріками, як зап'ястями, тече кров, убитих нами, убитих нас. Кров потрапляє у водогін, набираю її у чайник, аби прокип'ятити перед тим, як давати дитині. Намагаюся зварити зелений борщ, але виходить тільки червоний. Історія України – це історія вбивства. Моя література – це література убитих 90 років тому, 40 років тому, минулого року. Ми переживаємо власну смерть, описуємо її мовою мертвих, злизуючи їхню кров із зубів. Моя мова крихка, як дитяче дихання, притискаю її до себе, і щоб заспокоїти. Говорю. The same in English, the same poem. The word house. My country's name is printed with a dagger sign. Our blood and the blood of those we killed, those who killed us, flows in its rivers as if there were veins in its wrists. The blood mixes with tap water. I pour it in the kettle to boil before giving it to my child. I try to cook green borscht, but it turns out red. The history of Ukraine is the history of murder. My literature is the literature of the murdered. Murdered 19 years ago, 40 years ago, last year. We are experiencing our own death. We describe it in the language of the dead, licking their blood from our teeth. My language is fragile, like a child's breath. I hold it tight, and I speak it to soothe. The next one. Phantom Limb. На 6-му поверсі, у квартирі на Миколу Ушакова, в кімнаті, де ніхто не живе, як у скринці Пандори, замкнено наші спогади, плани на майбутнє і речі. Пральна машинка з сушаркою, скриня із мого вірша, між іншим, цілком реальна. Біль про Маріуполь, вечірні ритуали, сексуальна білизна, яку зараз немає для кого вдягати. Книжки на день народження вбитому другові, твій офісний одяг, красиві піджаки, сорочки, такі недоречні в окопах, що вже і не сядуть на тебе схудлого. Здається, від мене відрізали третину, і тому я ходжу незграбно, торкаюся пальцями того місця, де мав бути ніс, хилюся праворуч, аби втримати рівновагу, бо серце тепер переважує. Я маю ключі, аби колись, уже після війни, відчинити кімнату, витрусити пилюку, вдихнути і почати нове життя, як дитина, з довгого, пронизливого плачу. Phantom Limb. On the 5th floor, in a flat on Mykhailo Street, in a room where nobody lives, like a Pandora's box, we locked our memories, our plans, and our belongings. Washing machine with a dryer, the chest from my poem, completely real, by the way. Pain from Mariupol, evening rituals, sexy underwear, but no one to wear it for. Books we bought as a present for a friend who was killed. Your office clothes, nice jackets and shirts, so incoherent in the trenches, and too large now that you've lost weight. It seems like someone has cut 1/3 of me, so I walk awkwardly, touching my face where the nose was supposed to be, and leaning to the right to keep balance, motivated by my heart. I have keys, and later, after the war, I will open the room, sweep away the dust, and breathe in. And I'll start a new life as a baby does, with a long, piercing cry. Yeah, it's the last one for today. I guess. Журавлі. Сьогодні через центр міста прилетіли 3 журавлі. Так низько, наче винищувачі чи шахеди. Ніхто, крім мене, їх не побачив, бо тепер ніхто не дивиться в небо, не чекає звідти нічого доброго. Така легковажна весна, квітне собі, наче нічого не знає. Чужі тата гуляють зі своїми дітьми. Закохані підлітки розділяють AirPods і йдуть в одному ритмі. Ти мав повернутися разом із журавлями минулого року. Запізно дістаю весняний одяг. Боюся дихати цим наївним повітрям, наче краду його в тебе. Навіть сльози відкладаю, бо з ними, як і з війною, легко почати, важко завершити. Кладу руку на серце, промовляючи твоє ім'я, наче гімн. Cranes. Today, 3 cranes flew over the city center, so low, like fighter aircrafts or Shahed drones. I was the only one who saw them, because no one watches the sky anymore. No one waits anything good from there. Such a reckless spring. It blossoms as if it knows nothing. Other dads are working with their kids. Teenagers in love share AirPods, stepping in tune. You should have come back with cranes last year. I took out my spring clothes too late, scared to breathe in this naive air, as if I was stealing it from you. I even hold of tears because they are like wars, easy to begin, difficult to end. I put my hand on my heart, saying your name, like a hymn.
You sent us one more poem, To Live With All That. Did you want to read that?
Yeah, okay, I will also read it. Мені ніхто не розказав, як це переживати, як це відчувати, жити із цим. Гладити собаку перед тим, як віддати на перетримку. І ще довго не мити руки. Закрити клітку шиншилою, послухати спів щегля, насипати їм обом корма, знаючи, що не виживуть. Сплачувати іпотечний платіж за квартиру з 3 балконами, скло від яких, мабуть, засипало ковролін. Обіймаючи, скріпити руки на твоїй спині, так як ти потім скріплятимеш бронежилет. Навчіть мене реагувати словами, і війни немає. Повідомлення сестри, що затопило підвал, і вони сплять за стіною в книжка. Наплач дитини друзів, що не хоче йти в укриття. Навчіть мене відчувати гордість за вбивць, недовіру до власних очей, ненависть до моєї країни, такої ніжної, що хочеться своїм тілом закрити собою кожну будівлю, кожну картину Примаченко, кожного вигнаного з власного дому. Навчіться жити із цим. To live with all that. Nobody told me how to feel about it, grasp the meaning of it, to live with it. How to pet your dog before giving it away to somebody, and then not to wash your hands for a long time. How to close your chinchilla's cage, to listen to the singing of your goldfinch, to pour forage for them knowing full well that they won't survive. How to pay the mortgage for your apartment with 3 balconies, the shattered glass from which is probably on the carpet now. How to embrace the one you love, to hold him as tight as he will later fasten the belt of his bulletproof vest. Teach me how to react to the words, "There is no war." In your sister's message saying that her basement has got flooded and they slid behind the wall across the bed. How to react to your friend's crying child who doesn't want to go to the bomb shelter. Teach me to be proud of the killers, to distrust your own eyes, to feel hatred for your country, such gentle hatred that you want to cover with your own body. Each building, each painting by Primachenko, everyone ousted from their home. How to learn to live with all that.
Can we unmute? And please, let's applaud for the poetry we just heard, the beautiful poetry. So if I can ask that we all be unmuted. Can we do that? No? Brian, can you unmute everybody?
I can request for people to be unmuted.
Oh, okay.
I'm unmuted now. Thank you so much for this beautiful poetry. Thank you for sharing it with us. Makes me
Thank
cry.
Yeah, the last one was written like, I guess like in 2 days after the war started, and I really cried when I wrote it, and everyone who was with me, like we evacuated from our city to Western Ukraine, and everyone cried when they read it, and it's still like hard for me to read it because it's like very personal, I guess, and yeah, like everything there is true. So my chinchilla and died, for example, right? She didn't survive.
Yeah, did I force you to read that? I didn't mean to do that. I thought you had just forgotten the last poem.
No,
sorry.
no. I actually like thought that you. I thought that this will be the first one, and so I haven't seen it on screen. So I guessed like maybe you forgot it. So that's okay.
Good. Thank you very much for reading. Once again, this is the reason why I did this to begin with. What you're hearing basically is people who are going through this in their own words. And for those of you that can help out, there's a GoFundMe page that's attached to the Eventbrite link. And what it does is it provides what are called emergency first aid kits for the backs of each of the Ukrainian soldiers. It's done by a group of veterans in the United States. And they've already almost 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers now have them as a result of the donations to this fund. It's called Operation White Stork. And if you can support that, I would suggest that. Our second reader is Yaroslaw Gadzinsky. I want to tell you that Yaroslav and I became buddies over the course of the last month or so, because he really has helped out a lot with this. So I would have to say he's one of the staff rather than just one of the poets. Yaroslav is a Ukrainian-based writer and poet. He was born on the 30th of April in 1983. He started writing poetry in 2000 at Nizhny.
Nizhny. This is my native town.
State University under the influence of Ukrainian and English late modernism and postmodern poetry. His poems have appeared in Ukrainian literary almanacs and anthologies: Two Tons, Poetry Almanac of 2000s, The Sleepwalkers, Dreams of Ukrainian Writers, Sign, The Almanac of Young Ukrainian Literature, Anthology of Young Ukrainian Poetry of the Third Millennium, Breaker of Stones, a modern anthology of Ukrainian free verse, Poetry Anthology Invasion, which is where I discovered him for the first time, Ukrainian Poems About the War, and many others. He is the author of 3 poetical books, 48200, which is the barcode for Ukraine, in 2004, Mar WWWO by Mirage in 2008, and Digging Up 2023, which, if I'm not mistaken, he's got copies of. So if you want one, he's got one. We're going to put the link to his profile on Facebook in the chat. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome Yaroslav Gadzinsky.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Yaroslav Gadzinsky from Ukraine, from Kyiv. Also, I want to say a little speech about maybe one only minute. I'm honored to be here, thanks to the Christopher Bogart, big enthusiasm. These readings are very important because American readers and listeners of the poetry first time will see Ukrainian contemporary poetry and poets. This is unfortunately dedicated to the war, but to the art, to the poetry, how poetry reacts on it, and how all we react on it. It is about aggression. It is about our feelings, about everything bad. But we must talk about it also not from the side of the victim. We must talk from the side of the how we brave, how we are fighting, and we are standing, we are living. So now I want to read the first my poem. This it has a title, I Don't Remember. It was written in October 2022 when the center of Kyiv was attacked by Russian rockets. It was a very horrible time, but at the same time, it was very beautiful autumn. When my grandchildren asked me, "Granddad, have you ever heard the whistling noise before the missile strike?" I will say, I don't remember. Granddad, how could it be? Tell us more. Maybe you have heard the sounds of the deadly Iranian kamikaze drones? I will say that I don't remember. Ah, okay. Maybe you have heard how the air defense system worked. I will tell them, I don't remember. Maybe you have heard any explosions in the center of Kyiv. I will say the same, I don't remember. Together we will sit by the campfire and just in a silence. And after a long pause, I will say, I don't remember anything anymore except for the terribly beautiful autumn and relatives who became even more than the relatives, and more romantic candlelight evenings without any electricity, and the bloody signatures of the autumn ivy in calligraphy handwriting on the gray fences near crushed post-Soviet industrial districts. Thank you. Another one, the second text is Slow Running. It was written in 2020, but I finished it at the beginning of 2023 in winter. I felt that that this text has very social background, and now it is also about our feeling and about the war. Slow running. We were born too slow, exploring everything around our own shadows, observing how slowly the water in the tap drips. We were happy to see exotic temples of fossils, went out to pray for the holy snow in the age of global warming, watched the moons of old bicycle wheels spin, and how the crowds of trees disappeared in the fog until they are transformed into the wooden boards. We were not taught that countless online streams would invade our most insincere dreams, nor want that predator shopping malls would devour Kiev's historic buildings at the business lunches, or that discounts will disappear as quickly as rainbows, and that our pulses would synchronize with the per second billing. We were not taught that we need to sort garbage at the gates of the both heaven and hell. We were not taught how to handle the waves of explosions shaking the path outside our windows. We were not taught how to fit into life's twists and turns, to stay quiet, to harmonize with the world. We were not taught how to navigate minefields. We only learned what Kalashnikov assault rifle looked like one or two lessons, took a few practice shots at the target of the horrible future, and that was it. We were not taught how to freeze at rallies or what to do with the wasted hours in social networks. We were taught to take notes, to hold our breaths in the presence of the beauty, to cram classical poetry. We were taught how to observe the constellations, but now the lights of enemy drones replace the stars in our skies each night. We were not taught how to bear so many tragedies at once, to carry them all in our hearts. Maybe I'm sorry for pronunciation. I think you understand. The third text is it has title "The Third Summer of Love." It was written at the beginning of 2024. It's about our European, my European age. It's about generation, how it could be Ukrainian generation, how it could be how it to feel Ukrainian millennials. The third summer of love. How would you describe the generation born in Ukraine between 1981 and 1996? Generation Y, millennials, suffering people, steadfast, vulnerable, better than the previous one, otherwise. This is how they look, common signs of involvement in certain chronological frameworks, growing up, fast thinking, messing around, crawling through the branches together on a silly night, creating family nests eventually. I watched mine European age mates more on online music forums, where we all discussed rare tracks from the collection of Eurodance, Acid House, or old 90s trance. We told each other life stories associated with these tracks. One of the men reminded us about the second Summer of Love. I didn't know anything about the first one. About my European age mates are now reminding calm Instagram stories near hotels in exotic countries, near blue lagoons, near alpine meadows, in the arm of the Sunday morning yoga. And of course, career updates in the LinkedIn profile, because they have better luck with the neighbors. Of course, they are also not without problems, divorces, troubles with mental health, naughty children, antidepressants, drugs. In general, a familiar whirlwind with pitfalls and unknown bottom. How would any of us be without a war? But everything has to be perfect in a bubble. My European age mates notice more and more sad news about Ukraine. They are reading the automatic Facebook translation of our nervous posts. They are noticing the increasing profile pictures of Ukrainian boys and girls in military uniforms. They are looking at our daily prayers for the nations. What do they really think about us? Putting sad emoji with the tears under the photo with the rocket destroyed entrance of a block in the capital of Ukraine. Do they have any empathy? Or are their views shifted on something else? Are they planning social volunteering in the broken wasteland of Ukrainian South in the summer during the next vacation? Do they just think to themselves that the world in our latitudes is just kind of axis the wheel of fortune, because all illusions fall to pieces, and even friends sometimes fall apart, because all Ukrainian boomers, Generation X, millennials, and Zoomers are integrated in endless garland of pain. Sometimes I dream about the age mates from my generation who were swallowed up by the bloody mist before the dawn. Yes, they will come back, will definitely come back again from the cold heavenly shores. Neon fireflies will return, will shine. Oh, how they will shine on the night fields during their special parties at the beginning of the third summer of love. Thank you. And maybe one more explanation about this text. This text, you remember that there is the first summer of love, which happened in US at the beginning of 60s, which is related to the hippies. The second summer of love was happened in UK at the end of 90s, and it related to the rave music. And the third summer of love is existed in my poem. This is also association with the third summer of war. Like this is like bitter irony.
Yaroslav read this to me a few weeks ago, and it's my favorite. It's really good. Please
Thank you.
give it up for Yaroslav Gadzinsky.
Thank you, everybody.
Our next reader, is Kiva here? No?
I don't think we have her on.
No. All right, well then we're gonna move on to, hold on, just let me get the page. No. All right, here we go. Right. This is our next reader is Olesya Mamchych. Did I say that right, please?
But
Oh,
Kiva is here.
oh, Eva Kiva is here. Okay, let's go back then. How did we miss that? All right, let me get my pages correct here. All right, Eva Kiva. Is she on the screen right now?
Give me-
Do you see her?
yeah, I will.
If you hear me,
Yes.
yes,
Yes, yes.
great news. Well, I have light and charge in my battery. Great greetings from Canada. And I will read, sorry, only some 2 poems in English because my pronunciation is totally awful.
All right, can I give you an introduction first?
Okay, thank you.
Eva Kiva is a Ukrainian poet, translator, member of PEN Ukraine. She is the author of 3 poetry collections, Farther from Heaven in 2018, First Page of Winter, 2019, Laughter in an Extinguished Fire, 2023, as well as a book of interviews with Belarusian authors, Will Wake Up Different, Conversations with Contemporary Belarusian writers on past and present and future of Belarus in 2021, dedicated to the 2021 protests in Belarus. Kiva's poems have been translated into more than 30 languages. Her poetry books in translation have been published in Bulgaria, Poland, Italy, and Sweden. As a writer, she participated in numerous writers' residencies, including Gaud, Polonia, Poetry Program of the Minister of Culture of Poland in 2021, International Writing Program 2023 USA, based in Kyiv. Since I have never met you before, it's a pleasure meeting you, and what I would like to say is that we are going to be putting up all of your poems in English while you're reading, so don't worry about, we can read them as well. So whenever you want to start,
Thank you. So, is there a hot war in the tap? Is there a cold war in the tap? How is it that there is absolutely no war? It was promised for after lunch. We saw the announcement with our own eyes. War will arrive at 1400 hours. And it's already 3 hours without war, 6 hours without war. What if there is no war by the time night falls? We can't do laundry without war, can't make dinner, can't read tea plane without war. And it's already 8 days without war. We smell bad. Our wives don't want to lie in bed with us. The children have forgotten to smile and complain. Why did we always think we'd never run out of war? Let's start visiting neighbors to borrow wool. On the other side of our green park, start fearing to spill war in the roads, start considering life without war a temporary hardship. In these parts, it's considered unnatural if war doesn't course through the pipes, into every house, into every throat. And next poem I did in Ukrainian are or not read. I'm not sure. Dear colleagues, perhaps it's the end. I'm sorry because I don't have around me any lights and don't see something. But sorry.
so you're not going to read anymore?
I think no, because I joined from my phone and it's not possible to use lighter.
Oh, so you can't read?
Uh,
Okay,
I
all right, if it changes, we can, let us know.
no, only one poem. I'm sorry,
I know it's,
but it's totally. I don't know. It's totally dark this time. I'm sorry.
okay. Thank you very much, Ia. I'm sorry that this got cut short. Um,
Yeah.
At any event, let
Or
me,
or perhaps I don't know. Olesya will start now, or perhaps I find light somewhere.
yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And if you do,
Okay.
let us know in the chat and we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Olesya
Oh,
was born in Kiev in 1981. In 2003, she graduated from Kiev University, named after Taras Shevchenko. How did I do on that one? Where she studied creative writing. Her first poem appeared in a children's magazine, Sunflower, in 1992, and her first collection, Перекотюпол,
Перекотибола.
all right,
It's neologism.
say it again, please.
Перекотибола, it's neologism, so it's complicated, I know.
Was published in 2004. Her other collections, The Cover in 2014, The Sun on Maternity Leave, Love is defenseless as a Knife in 2024. Olesya has also published her translations from poetry and 11 books for children. She was the recipient of the Blagovist Award in 2006, the Europe Crossing Award in 2014, the Top Barabuka Award in 2020, the Lviv Book Forum Best Book Award in 2021, and the Olesya Ukraina Award in 2022. In 2021, she received the Lane Kirkland Scholarship Program in Krakow, Poland. Some of her poems are translated into 14 languages, and her poems for children are part of a school curriculum. She works as an editor, providing a Polish-Ukrainian literary online magazine, Poetry EU. Olesya will be reading in Ukrainian, and at her request, I will be reading her poems in English.
Thank you, Christopher, so much for your compassion and support for Ukraine. It's very important for us. And I will read Ukrainian original. Хороші чоловіки посіяли цю війну, доглядали її, підсапували, приносили дощ у долонях, щоб не всохла, а війна росла чахленька, слабенька, і ні сонце, ні вода, ні вогонь її не тримали. Недобра війна, подумали чоловіки. Іншого року посадимо тут не війну, а грушу.
War. A few honorable men sowed this war, and then looked after it, fertilized it, brought rainwater in the palms of their hands to prevent it from withering away. But the war still grew weak and wilted, and sunshine, water, and fire couldn't prop it up. The war didn't turn out good. Though the men of another year, let's plant here, instead of the war, a pear.
У нас більше немає старих речей. Салюти здрантя летять над містами. Салюти здрантя стають журавлями. Птах із сорочки, птах з черевика співають про новий вільний світ.
By the way, this is why I'm glad that many of these poets are reading in Ukrainian. You really can't truly understand the artistry unless you read it in the original language. Old things. We no longer have old things. Rubbish fireworks rise over our cities. Rubbish fireworks turn into soaring cranes. A shirt bird, a shoe bird. They sing about the brand new free world.
Часу мало у світі. Занадто мало часу у світі. Може, куплю грядку, засаджу часом, запашним, зеленим, соковитим часом свіжим. Скільки схочу, стільки зберу. Кому схочу, тому дам, а то просто сидітиму та дивитимусь, як вітер мій час колише.
So little time in this world. So little time in this world. Maybe I'll buy a garden bed and plant some seeds of time. Some fragrant, green, luscious time. So fresh. I'll harvest as much as I want. I'll share with whomever I want. Or just sit there and watch how the time sways in the wind.
Ліс, у якому деревам порубано верхівки, ліс, у якому травам порубано верхівки, ліс, у якому люди ходять без голів, звірі без голів, комахи без голів, ліс, у якому сонцю отпиляно половину, небу одірвано половину, ліс, де половина повітря у чаші простору, а більше немає. Ось тут ми і живемо.
A forest where the crowns of trees have been hacked off. A forest where the tips of grasses have been hacked off. A forest where people walk about without their heads, beasts without heads, insects without heads. A forest where the sun has been severed in half, where the sky has been torn in half. A forest where half of the air lies in a bowl of space, and there is no more left, and that's where we live.
Білий місяць входить крізь вікно, в крісло сідає. Білий місяць входить крізь замкнуте вікно, у найкраще крісло в домі сідає. У вікні ані щілинки, скло міцне, як гранітне. На твоєму вікні ані щілинки, скло не проникне й міцне, як гранітне. Білий місяць похитує ногою, ніби тебе нема. Білий, як смерть, місяць похитує ногою, ніби тебе у кріслі навпроти нього нема. Він встає раптом і підходить до тебе впритул. Він стає з гуркотом раптом і підходить до тебе надто впритул. Піднімає за барки і штурхає тебе назад. Піднімає за барки, стискуючи до синців ключиці, і штурхає тебе назад у крісло, що раптом зникло.
The pale moon comes in through a window, sits down on a chair. The pale moon comes in through a closed window, sits down on the best chair in the house. In the window, there's not the slightest chink. The glass is firm as granite. In your window, there's not the slightest chink. The glass is impenetrable and firm as granite. The pale moon swings a leg as if you were not there. The pale as death moon swings a leg as if you're in the chair. Opposite were not there. Suddenly it gets up and comes over to lean on you. It gets up suddenly with a roar and comes over to lean on you too hard, lifts you by the scruff of your neck and pushes you backwards, lifts you by the scruff of your neck, bruising you round your collarbone, and pushes you back into your chair, which has suddenly disappeared.
Нічого такого. Нічого такого, просто цей світ розрахований на міцніших за тебе. Його конструкція досконала, між роком і роком підземний перехід, між серцем і серцем автобан. Нічого такого. Світ досконалий. Мета його зрозуміла. Люди живуть щасливі, помирають щасливі.
Nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. It's just that this world is designed for people stronger than you. Its construction is perfect. From year to year, an underground passage between heart and heart. There is an Autobahn. Nothing of the sort. The world is perfect. Its purpose is clear. People live happily. People die happily.
Був собі дивний сад, настільки дивний, що в тому саду ніколи нічого не сталося. Одна царівна туди не прийшла, і кінь не вдарив копитом, не викрисав темінь з землі, перстень під кущ не закотився. В тому саду були дощі і були трави, а більше нічого. Сонце було повільним кружалом над головою. Ніхто не помер, не вполював невимовне, не втратив честь. Той сад собі був, жодна людина не зайшла в нього, з нього не вийшла. І жив він довго і щасливо, і помер в один день. І навіть садом він не звався, а так, праліс.
There was once a strange garden, so strange that in that garden nothing ever happened. A certain princess did not come there, and her horse did not stamp its foot, did not draw darkness from the ground, the ring, did not roll under the bush. In that garden it rained, and there grew grass, but nothing else. The sun was a sluggish circle. Overhead no one died or hunted. And the inexpressible did not lose its honor. The garden just existed. No one entered it, and no one left it. And it lived a long and happy life, and died one day. And it was even not called a garden, but called the primeval forest.
Брешеш, ох, як ти брешеш. Брехня, як оса, влітає в вухо і кусає за мозок. Із середини мозок вразливий, як немовля. Білий мозок, біле тільце, брехня кусає немовля в пуп, брехня оса.
You are lying. Oh, how you are lying. A lie like a wasp flies into one ear and bites the brain. The brain is vulnerable inside like a baby. White brain, little white body. A lie bites a baby in the navel. A lie wasp.
And the last poem – помноження вітру. Кожного ранку вітру стає більше. Вітер бере за плечі велосипеда і веде до прірви. Як пси рвуться з прив'язі, прання на шворках. Корову хмари вітер опустив так низько, що вона розбилася об гараж. По місту кричать волонтери: не довіряйте вітру, вітер підступний. Живіть так, ніби вітру не існує, ніби нас, які кричать про вітер, не існує. Ніби доріг небесних, по яких танки вітру гудуть, не існує. Але вітер множиться у кожній шпарі, як бур'ян, проникає крізь стіни, здуває тіні і думки, видирає останні сторінки книг. На маленькій планеті тепер Тихий океан вітру, Атлантичний океан вітру та Індійський океан вітру. This poem I was written maybe 10 years ago.
Escalating wind. Every morning, the wind blows stronger. The wind picks up a bicycle by the shoulders and carries it to the abyss. See how dogs are torn away from their leash, as well as the washing of the clothesline. The clouds carried the cow so low that it crashed against the garage. Volunteers wander through the city streets shouting, "Do not trust the wind. The wind is cunning. Live as if there were no wind. As if we, shouting about the wind, do not exist. As if heavenly roads where wind tanks roar do not exist. But the wind blows strongly through every hole, multiplying like weeds. It travels through the walls, blows away shadows and thoughts, tears away the last pages of books. Now, in our small planet, the windy Pacific Ocean, the windy Atlantic Ocean, the windy Indian ocean.
Thank you so much. And it was a question about Ilya Kaminsky. Yes, I like very much his book Deaf Republic. I have it in Polish translation, and I read some extraction from it in English translation that was accessible online. And I visited one event in Krakow when Ilya recited in his very specific way his poems. He is really great. Thank you one more time.
Please, applause for Olesya. About Ilya Kaminsky, I contacted him through a professor of mine at the very beginning of this, and he is nursing a sick relative, an ailing relative, and so he couldn't participate in this. But he gave me some good ideas. By the way, there are comments going into the chat. If you look at the chat on the bottom, for example, there was one about your work, Olesya. So check the chat from time to time. Now, I'm hearing a voice. Who am I hearing? All right. Is there anybody?
No, you're all good. It was just background noise.
Oh, okay. For you?
No, I think it was Kiva.
All right. Kiva, are you ready to read again, or?
Yes, next, I think I can read some poems because with translation it will take more time. And next poem in Ukrainian.
Can you tell us the poem in English so we can pull the poem up?
I would like to tell you.
Okay.
Я хотіла б тобі сказати, що земля тут ані трошечки не змінилася. Але це буде неправда. Це буде жорстка даремна брехня, якою притрушують судку дитячу цікавість. Дерева тут лише удають дерева. Дерева тут не вдаються, піднімаючи гілля вгору, немов би здаються в полон. Своїм і чужим. І цьому сучому часу, де з пуп'янків відразу ж народжуються сірники. А річка життя так добре горить, палає від сорому, що пересохла, що не здатна більше наповнити. Літо чмелиним сміхом, а зиму медом турботи. Земля тут за рік так постаріла, що там, де століттями бачили гладке личко води, тепер самі зморшки заввишки з долоню, або ви гірше, так, наче сонце, світить тепер вниз головою. Але хто тепер дивиться вгору? Небо тут таке тихе, то кинь у нього ножем, не ворухнеться. Терпить це, ковтаючи мовчки, кінжал за кінжалом, роздираючи щоки до крові, як розривають на шмати одежу. Що більше, не захищає? Око лихе знайшов, мацує тебе зсередини, мохтиві руки у натовпі, спокійно, без сорому, з відчуттям повільного злочину, аж до самого серця, і те зупиняється. А ти живеш далі, але тихо, без серця, без сподівань, як пощастить. Земля тут тепер без серця, наче ґрунт у музеї. Лежить у всіх на очах, напівжива, непритомна. Бо не встигнеш повітря капнути, а воно вже отруєне. Дряпається, гарчить, ніби конає старенький собака. І так все це знаєш вигадливо, що всі вже навчилися робити вигляд, наче не чують власного ж розкладання. А смердить тепер так, що тільки за смородом своїх і впізнаєш. Таких гордих, таких принишклих, таких безжально красивих. Смерть з неї ж завжди додає краси, аж до судомного реготу. Хіба ж це не смішно? Це життя ходити тією самою стежкою і розминутись з собою на першому ж перехресті. Хіба так буває? Хіба цій землі не набридло? Водити по колу з пов'язкою на очах, мов у грі в панаса. Ей ти, ну, мов, гадай, де впадеш і не підведешся. Стільки тут добрих людей знаєш, а всі лежать у багнюці, покотом, розкинувши руки, без голів, як прийдеться. Ця земля наче шрам на обличчі, бачать усі. Але спитати, що ж це сталося, бракує відваги. Життя, знаєш, занадто коротке, щоб вдивлятися в землю, особливо в чужу. Щось цьому є від перелюбу. Так ніби любов раптом стала штучною мовою, яку ми вчимо і вчимо і вчимо. Тільки без сенсу. Я хотіла тобі сказати, що земля – це поезія. Ти ж знаєш, не гірше для мене, скільки в поезії читачів. Will you read this text in English?
Yes, we were watching while you were reading, but you have to tell us what you're going to read next.
Okay. No, in order how I sent you.
Okay, well, that's the order we're going in, I think.
Yes.
Okay, okay. 8 years of saying, back home there's a war, so I finally accepted. My home is a war. It's a slow train cross country, east to west, where death transfers life. Night falls to the ground with the spasms of wilted flowers and lies down in our mouths with tears rooting from silence. Now our language is a voluntary refugee chart. We are silencing songs to Odysseus. Now our memory is freedom-stained vyshyvanka. How long walk from heart to heart. No, I hope you know our word, our special word vyshyvanka. It's like national short, like symbol of Ukrainian identity. I think you saw these clothes in some articles about Ukraine. And next point. Yeah. Okay, it was not next, a poem before in English. Okay. Okay, it's not big. Okay, next, please. Yes. Мова зникає, як вода між долонь. Посуха часу креслить воєнний пейзаж. Ми стоїмо і йдемо одночасно. Чи то під воду, чи то понад водою, гойдалку неба розхитуючи на плече. Рук прапори майорять у сутінках гніву. Ковилою пташок, що випали із гнізда, зірка дитинства, човник, якого не стримати, стелить криваву постіль на зламаних стеблах зла. Шлях до любові, голки, тривожний спів, де замість слів смерті невтомний млин, де що не крок, молитов, затомлений дзвін, лоби собі розбиває, об повільні руїни провини, де що не крок, вирви пам'яті, квітнуть, як очерет, землю просіюють крізь безжально сите вогню. Сурми ненависті, тут замість ночі стояли доми, вітер злизує сльози, осиротілим деревам, а чи собака до річки, прив'язаний мотузком. Thank you, and next. And dear Greece, my apologize that I didn't say you thank you because in a little bit strange circumstances, and thank you very much for your support and that you with all I don't know that you spent a lot of time to like collect us together, and thank you for this Zoom.
Thank you.
При зачиненій брамі Європи у світлі непевному стоїмо із ліхтариками на лобі, такі наші німби воєнні. Читаємо книги священні і не впізнаємо себе ні серед пророків, ні серед учнів твоїх, ні серед апостолів. То ми для тебе, Господи, чи є ми для тебе дорослими, чи ще ж таки дітьми? Чи бачиш нас, Господи, чи відділяєш ще світло істини від пітьми, сльози від поту, і невинних від винуватців наших? Чи пам'ятаєш, що суд твій страшний ще не відбувся ні в Берзі, ні у Гаазі, ні в Києві Золотому? І що черга у свідки тепер буде довгою, мов спів поминальний, непроминальною, наче шлях до військового цвинтаря. Чи бачиш ти кров у нас на губах, кров під ногами, кров у кишенях, кров у наплічниках, кров у кожному слові вогню і кров у тиші, яку нам не перейти, мов пустелю свободи. Як просили ми землі заповіданої, то віри не йняли, що буде вона з крові та м'яса людського. Так що й до смерті кістки наших мертвих з горла не вибрати, а води ще не просили, бо соромно серед крові казати про воду, соромно називати воду водою, але поки ми ще стоїмо, ти йди замість нас по воду гніву, йди по крові наші, як по воді, щоб земля наша врешті врожаєм любові вродила. And next text. Дякую. Thank you. Так десь поміж ребрами, раптом з'являється вістря. Загострений промінь жовтня стає катівним знаряддям надії, поки ліси закривають нам очі листям завмерлими. Час – це дитина, яку ми носимо за плечима, немов би грудки землі, до яких любов прив'язана мотузками, щоби в дорозі до річки сіль на щоках не згубити. Однак слова колискової, що її бабуся співала після війни, ми й забули. Крізь белькотіння крові у горлі чуємо власний голос, немов би репіння дверей, які нам вибили з пам'яті разом з порожнім містом довіри. Так дивно розносити квіти слів між небіжчиків, немов би дешеві товари на приміському вокзалі, яких ніхто не купує, але хтось же має доглянути сад наших печалей, що ростуть тепер скрізь, мов лабузя. Хтось же має тепер, немов той собака в човні, перейти поле надламаних соняхів, щоб запалити вогник життя між деревами ночі і неспокоєм забуття, щоб згодом назвати це місце перелітною птахою дому, щоб записати: ненависті бруд не впущу собі навіть під нігті, хоч би як довгі тіні ці дні в'їлись у шкіру буття, у щоденнику, який не збережеться при переїздах. And next, please. Just a moment. You think you've turned on Bach, and the speakers are military marches. You think that's Yasha Hafiz. You hear the plaintive whistling of shells, the violin sound coarser, the coloratura soprano of voice an octave higher. Blood fills your ears. The bass being killed. And I think I want to stop. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You said you want to Do you want to keep reading or?
No, I think it's enough. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And the last poet before the open mic is going to be Mykhailo. I just have to find the page. Hold on. It has to be here. Yes. I'm sorry. Mykhailo Zharzhailo. Please pronounce that.
Zharzhailo.
Zharzhailo. Oh, good.
Mykhailo Zharzhailo. Can you hear me well? Can you see me well?
Yes. Mykhailo's a
Thank
poet,
you.
is the author of the poetry collection Karma Militia and Unsupported Characters 2020. He has participated in several poetic anthologies and publications in Ukraine and abroad. He is a member of the AETHER, MCRT Media Poetry Band, author of an Erasure Poetry Project, Blackouts of Constitution in 2018, the initiator of the VR exhibit Blackouts of Law 2021, and the co-author of the AR project Control Plus Z 2022. Mykhailo is a PEN Ukraine member since 2024. I just want to add one more thing. There's a poet, an American poet sitting here who has also written a book of erasure poetry. So we're all anticipating. Mykhailo Zharzhailo.
Thank you very much, Christopher, for the introduction. And I'd like to start my, first of all, Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine. And to, I have to mention that, in fact, I do not deserve to be here because the people who deserve to be here are actually at the front line. There are a lot of poets who do their many tasks, both protecting and writing. So I wish more poets such as Maxim Krivtsov, who had been quite close to me 10 years ago. I guess it was like co-renting the apartment together for a couple of months. So it was a tragedy to me. So next reading I will attend, and I suggest everyone to attend and watch the next readings on the 21st of September. And also I honor the memory of Volodymyr Vakulenko. We also had known each other, but not so close as with Maxim. And also I would like to make a disclaimer. So I think that my poetry is best to be perceived through the context of the post-truth, through the prism of all trends ongoing. And I think that enlightenment through wrongdoing is the key trait of the modern era. So many people do not know how to act until someone fails, someone a media person fails, and that's how we deliver the message to the to other people. And the deeper trauma is, the stronger emotion is, the more audience is reached, but many people who have mental disorders, and I have been experiencing such thing for many years, unfortunately. And I'd like they cannot contact to that much emotional content as is broadcasted, and so I just would like to pay your attention, to be attentive when you're going to listen and to read to this poem, because to me it's like a QR code or the command you receive just random daily noise we hear on social media and so on, while the rockets, shells, missiles are falling around. And the main thing I very promote, because you guys, English-speaking world, and the whole world can support us, and on you depends that we have the tools to defeat the enemy, because the enemy is savage. I hope that you are in the same paradigm, and there are a lot of misinformation. So I just moving through this approach, and that's why I am quite avant-garde for the casual reader, so to say, if I can. And I will start with my first poem. It should be, I think, key poem. Well, yeah, I was wrong with the first poem, but I will. I'm sorry, I will find it right away. Just a moment, please. The original. I will just make some noise. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Do you want us to start with a specific poem?
I'd love to. Maybe it's okay. It's fine. I'm already close to the poem. Maybe. Maybe we shall return. Maybe Control Z. They give us Z. By R.B. Lamberg. Yeah. Translated by R.B. Lamberg. So. Вони нам Z, а ми їм Ctrl-Z чи Command-Z. Контроль-цар врівноважений блазнем. Культ кожної особистості, а отже, жодної. Вірші тихі, німі, складні, ні про що, ніякі. Бо коли історія, то брехня, бо коли алегорія, то казочка, бо коли гіпербола, то зразу бомба-ракета, бо коли літота, то й не було одвіку. Писав наперед, ніби у Word дивився. З першого разу чути, бачити з першого разу, розуміти з першого разу. А до того я не знаю Бога. А до того я не знаю багів. Зашпори в душу зайшли, згрубіли плоттю. Як погана гра, прав за правила. Тут скоро все буде багато. Versus одяг на кожного, хто будь-коли жив, вже пошитий. And in English, it will be in translation of my friend R.B. Lamberg, who had supported me in some difficult period of time. Of course, we didn't meet, we hadn't met in person, but R.B. has Ukrainian roots, born in Lviv, and it's an honor to be translated by them. Control Z. They give us Z, and we give them Control Z or Command Z. Controls are balanced by a clown. Cults of each personality, and therefore of none. Poems are quiet, mute, complex, meaningless, empty. Because if the story, then it's bullshit. Because if allegory, then it's nonsense. Because if hyperbole, then at once it's a rocket and bomb emoji. Because if understatement, then it never existed. I wrote in advance, as if it was word under the bridge. From the first sound to hear, to see from the first glance, to know on the first try. Until then, I won't accept God. Until then, I won't accept glitches. Fear frosted the soul, scared the flesh. If the game is foul, choose to be the rules. Soon, everything will be rich here. Versus clothing for everyone who ever lived has already been sewn. And please put, thank you. Please put the next one. I don't know which one.
Right?
But the same file, yeah. Maybe you could we can continue the R.B. Lamberg's file, because I will find the original Ukrainian version of the poem that's on the screen. It's translated by Yevtushenko, and I will find it in the end, maybe, if you don't mind.
Right.
We have more in the
Can you
same
give us-
file.
Can you give us the title and we'll find it?
All right. The next one could be empty set, or yeah, if you don't mind. The previous file from which I was reading Control Z.
This is
Oh,
empty.
thank you. I can. Yeah. Yes. You're quite right. I was inattentive. My apologies. So yeah. This one is also quite hidden, but it's on the top. Still on the top. I'm sorry, I'm so disorganized because I'm taking a picnic with my friends, rare chance nowadays. Because so empty sets, and in Ukrainian, just I prefer not to call it at all, like crossed zero, crossed mathematical or physical sign. What is Не розгортаю місто чутливого характеру. Ми приховали місто, щоб ви могли вирішити. Хочете його бачити? Закреслене око все одно бачить, як я запущу очі і продовжую бачити крізь око закреслене. Як знак на виїзді з міста чутливого характеру. Я бачу диявола, вбраного у постправду, як у вкрадений NFT килим. So, empty said, that's about, I wrote it on a day when I saw Bucha on the news, and Facebook was hiding everything from the eyes, like if you are sensitive not to even listen, you know, do not donate, do not listen, do not read, do not sleep, do not read, you know. So the poem itself. I don't spread a city of sensitive nature. We hid the city from view, so you can decide if you want to see it. A crossed out eye sees anyway. How I close my eyes tightly and continue to see through the eye crossed out like a road sign on the exit out of the sensitive city. I see the devil dressed in post-truth, like it's a looted NFT rug. And the next one in the same file, if you don't mind, please. Which is it? Yeah.
Don't find out because of algorithms.
Yes, thank you. Не дізнався, бо алгоритми. Робота, балкон, робота. Війна, сон, війна. Ліве око мандрує простором лоджії, де кружляють мухи. А правим краще видно простір неба. На висоті пташиного лету таки птахи. У лівому мухи, в правому птахи. В різних півкулях. Різного розміру, виду, швидкості, темпу. А як встати з крісла? Автівки кружляють. Майдан, суглоб, кістка вулиці, кістка проспекту, кісточка, рот, що плює. Спілка займенників, своє я, власне, голова, власне, вітер. Сонце, як новина, тече за комір. А могло б і не воно. So in English it will be the following. Didn't find out because of algorithms. Work, balcony work, war, sleep, war. The left eye minders the expanse of the covered balcony where the flies circle. With the left eye, one can better see the expanse of the sky as high as the birds. Well, with the right eye, one can better see the expanse of the sky as high as the birds. Really, birds. In the left eye, the flies. In the right eye, the birds. In different hemispheres of different sizes, appearances, speeds, rhythms. And if one gets up from the chair, cars are circling. The town squares joined, bone of the street, bone of the avenue, ankle, a mouse that spits. A union of pronouns. My own self. The sound like the news, see the color, but could have been some songs. And the next one, I guess, it will be snails have crawled. Yes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, right.
You're all set, yeah.
Thank you. The original. Раблі пройшлися вікнами після скотчу. Лапу гептапода, подай пального. Кавова гущавина. Соціальні зрізи дерев, щепи, осьове зілля. Вередливий врожай. Галузочки бічні. Оптоволокно оченят. Це циферблат, це свій час. Декорування докорів, кап-кап ремонт. Розмите вікно не реагує. Отже, кнопка могутність. Сон відмиває реальність. Моноколісник як ніж для піци. Тостер вистрілює слайди до ранкової кави. Let me find Snails have crawled over the windows after scotch tape. Heptapods paw give us fuel. Coffee grounds, social cuts of the trees, grafts, eggshell potion, carnivorous harvest, twigs to the sides, optical fiber of eyes. Everything is a watchdial. Everything is in its own time. Decorations of reproaches, a drip down remodel. The blurry window does not react. Therefore, the button of mind. Dream cleanses reality. Unicyclist like a pizza cutter. The toaster spits out Polaroids for the morning coffee. And the last one in this file will be, yeah, it's already here. Explicit content, yes. Тлусту шкіру чию ми пробиваємо експліцитним контентом. Зроговілий епітелій зрозуміло в кого. Вірші непридатні ані у мирний, ані у час війни можуть раптово стати придатними. Потрібні всі, навіть з початкою не військовозобов'язаних. Є ж страху не матиме врожаю 40 літ. Ані крипти йому, ані хліба йому, ані чогісінько. Газ, вугілля, пшениця, жито, скачати, торт. Балада про фішинг, про гейм у значенні дичина, про поцілунок з цільовою, обмін ключами шифрування між нарисом думки і лекалом лелек. Вмикається вітер, хмари з голів невинних женуть у голови винних. Титан падає, наче цукор. And the English will be, whose thick skin do we pierce with explicit contempt? It is clear who has the hardened epithelium. Poems inappropriate during peace and in wartime may suddenly become appropriate. Every single one is needed. Even the ones stamped unsuitable for conscription. The sour of fear will harvest for 40 years, not a gram of crypto or bread. Not a single damn thing. Yes, go on, we try, download the tour. A ballad about fishing, about game in sense of hunting, about a kiss with a target, exchange of encryption keys between an opinion essay and a template of storks. The wind turns on. Clouds from the heads of the innocent blown into the heads of the guilty. The Titan drops like blood sugar. And the next one will be the poem translated by Ella Yevtushenko from another file. Please, let's return, and I have it already before my eyes. Do you? Please, Brian, or anyone?
Yep.
Is that the one?
Саблі, як літаки, як у фільмах з Луї де Фінесом, зникнення одних сирен, з'ява інших. Ієрархія сирен. Найстаршу прибити, наче помирав, і ржавою водою вмився, залізний вершник. Перетягни на свій бік світлини та відео. Аполлон з підбитим пікселем. And in English it will be... The sanctions are harnessed in dogs. Motorbikes are like aircrafts. The alerts are like from Louis de Funès movies. Some alerts appear, others disappear. The hierarchy of alerts. Kill the oldest one like a mosquito. I washed my face with rusty water. The Iron Rider. Drag the photos and videos to your side. Apollo with a defective pixel. Thank you so much for having me and for this beautiful event. And I would like to say thank you and greetings to all my fellow poets who I'm reading, who I was, who we were watching tonight. Thank you for your brilliant work. It was perfectly done in terms of event organization, and I think that you should be more. I think that I think that the contribution of yours is very powerful, and hope this video will be shared with the people who will will help or at least try to feel the way that Ukrainians feel and support us, and because really we need to be more rapid in our conclusions about what is happening on TV screens, because we always have it apart, aside, I don't know. So the conclusion is, let's support Ukraine, and I wish everyone the victory the sooner is possible. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and goodbye.
Thank you for
Glory to Ukraine.
glory to Ukraine. Slava Ukraine. There's a few things that I think maybe the audience might be unaware of. One of them is that 200 years before Russia had a constitution, Ukraine had a constitution. And so the story that's going out in Western media that Russia is merely trying to take back a part of its own country is false. This is one of the reasons why I did this. The second thing that I want to say before we go any further is that I contacted a number of Ukrainian poets, but in order to do so, I had to read a number of anthologies of Ukrainian poets. The reason, the impetus, the energy that I found to do this came from the fact that I was so inspired by what I read. And in a way, the Western world is so isolated from the voices of other countries, and particularly Ukraine, that I wanted to do this so that when the war is over and Ukraine wins and gets its territory back, that it will remember its poets and continue to read them. I think that's important. And one last thing is is there anybody that wants to read at the open mic? Because nobody really signed up for it, so I'm not really sure whether anybody wanted to. If you're put in the chat, if not, what I'm going to do is conclude this reading. I don't see anybody. Does anybody want to read in the open mic? Okay, and what I'd like to do is, Soretta? Go ahead, unmute. Can we?
Okay, I can't find my child to see myself, but I'll go ahead and read. I realized that there's a lot of truth in what Christopher is saying about us being so removed, perhaps emotionally, from what is actually happening, because many of us have never been in a war zone. We've never experienced these kind of things firsthand, and many experiences you can't fully relate to until you have been there. So my perceptions that I have so far in poems, I have a new book out, and there's a couple of poems about Ukraine in it. My connection with Ukraine is through Ilya Kaminsky, because he was my professor at San Diego State. So he opened my eyes to Mamchych. I'm sure you're familiar with the famous poet Mamchych, and other literature that I wouldn't have known about otherwise. And I feel almost shy about reading these because I'm not in that environment. But I have 3 haiku in my new book. It's a Ukrainian haiku sequence. Barely old enough to shoulder a casket, Ukrainian son. Barely old enough to shoulder a casket, Ukrainian son. Haiku is usually read 2 times because it's so brief, so that's why I'm doing that. Ukrainian spring in the barren park, empty baby carriages. Ukrainian spring in the barren park, empty baby carriages. This one's a bit more lighthearted. Bomb blitz, still the pop of champagne on New Year's Eve. Bomb blitz, still the pop of champagne on New Year's Eve. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena. The one other thing I wanted to say that I was trying to think of before is that while these Ukrainian poets are modest, to say the least, and they're reticent sometimes to read in English, you got to remember that this is their 3rd language, not their 1st. In other words, every Ukrainian poet, every Ukrainian knows, including the president, by the way, Zelensky, whose 1st language was Russian, because of the part of Russia that part of Ukraine that he came from. So every Ukrainian, knows Russian, and also a lot of them know English. And I'm looking at Olesya, and I'm pretty sure you speak Polish also, do you not? So when the United States can master a 2nd language, then you can be more modest. But in the meantime, I am indebted to all of you for making it here today. I have a poem that I would like to read from the book of poetry that's behind me, Sunflowers. And by the way, all the proceeds of that book are going to Operation White Stork. And that'll be about $600. This is Sunflowers. Across the fields of Ukraine, bright yellow heads atop green stalks look up defiant to the sun. They do not flinch, nor shy, nor run. From wind and rain, they do not bend, they do not break, but face all that they're forced to face. They stare into the solar fire, prepared for dangers from its glare. They are Ukrainsky, Sonia Shnicky, the golden glory of all Ukraine. Defend they must, their sacred borderland. I'd like to close by again thanking the Ukrainian poets for being here. To be quite honest, I'll tell you what the big risk was for me. Now that I know you guys, I'm worried. So please stay safe. Thank you for attending today's reading of Speak Out for Ukraine. This reading was an attempt to share with you the voices I have had the honor of reading in collections like Invasion, Ukrainian Poems About the War, In the Hour of War, Poetry from Ukraine, by Arrowsmith Press, by the way, and also Ilya Kaminsky. Words for War, New Poems from Ukraine, Ukraine Research Institute at Harvard University, and many more now available in English translation. Many of the voices you've heard here tonight are within the pages of these books. In a world littered with pain and destruction, Ukraine's poets have found the hope of construction, the building blocks of language, more particularly their own words, to display resilience, courage, and the sure belief that out of these ruins, Ukraine will survive. Let's help them then, with our own words, to keep that belief alive. Thank you very, very much for attending. Please stay safe and Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава.
Героям слава.
Glory to the heroes.
Thank you very much for the organization of this event. And it was an honor to read for you and to know that like, it's very nice to know that you support us across the globe. Yeah, like
It was an honor
Good.
for me as well, by the way. And there was one other thing. Next Saturday, we're having another one of these. And I'm hoping to see a lot of your faces. The reader there is going to be, readers there are going to be Igor Ostapenko, Olga Bragina, Alexander Panteliat, Ostap Slavinsky, and Oksana Yefenenko. I hope I got those right. It's going to be at the same time this Saturday, and the link will be the same. So please, I invite you all to join us again. And once again, I am not saying this with any degree of humility, but having gotten to know Ukrainian poetry and Ukrainian poets has been one of the most inspiring things of my life. Thank you very much for inspiring us today. And please keep in touch. Thank you. Thank you, Brian, by the way, for all your work on this.
No problem. Thank you all.
Christian, thank you for reminding Volodymyr Vakulenko about Volodymyr Vakulenko and Maxim Kravtsov, the next one, because they are very great poets and they have to live in our memories, and in not only in Ukraine, but I think in many countries.
I'm
But,
hoping that this is one of the first of many things like this that happen. And by the way, if you want, I would be open to doing this every once in a while, if the Ukrainian poets would like me to do so. And I know that you went to Maxim's funeral, did you not?
I was very sad.
He was 33 years old and a soldier. One more thing. I was looking forward to seeing the baby, which I saw on your lap, but it looks like the baby went to sleep?
no, she didn't. Just my mom helps me to
Oh,
attend.
okay.
But I can show her again. She was very pleased to see you all.
Oh,
And she
good.
likes it.
Can we share the screen, Brian, so she can?
Yeah, like now I will take her.
Again, if anybody wants to share, go on Eventbrite. Oh my God, she's adorable. Hello. How old is she?